Hi Ali, welcome to this episode of Vaartaalaap. Good to see you. Finally, you have managed to have some time for me. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Aman. It is great to see you after it has been 10 years, a little bit more
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
It is great to see you again. And I am also excited for this session.
Great. So, for my viewers, Ali is currently based out in Hong Kong. He has more than 15 plus years of work experience, a lot in automotive industry. He's currently a CFO at Volkswagen, and he has worked with global consulting companies like KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Ernst& Young in his past roles. So, it's been a long time in Hong Kong. How has Hong Kong treated you, Ali?
Um, well, Hong Kong, two things is locals call Hong Kong where heaven and earth meets.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fascinating place. It's really only talking about the landscape is fascinating,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the base. And the last more than 2 years I have been was also in the history of Hong Kong very historical
Mm-hmm.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I observed quite a bit of transition
Mm-hmm.
in Hong Kong and transformation. There was a big change, what I can summarize, and I am glad that I can also observe it with ups and downs, of course.
Great. So you have been part of automotive industry for very long now. How has digital impacted this industry from your perspective? What is your
Okay.
feeling?
The digital transformation has taken over the automotive industry. This is what I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is not 100% complete,
Mm-hmm.
definitely not, and it will take some time. But what is become very apparent to us, to the international OEMs, automobile manufacturers, OEM is an abbreviation for that. If you are not in the digital trend, you will be out soon.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
this is one-way journey.
Okay. So I mean, in terms of automotive industry, we talk about hybrid cars, we talk about fuel cell technology, we talk about electric vehicles, we also talk about driverless cars and so on. What is it that you see is probably the most current theme or trend in automotive industry?
So right. So good question. And so we are using an abbreviation for that. It is electric, it is connected, it is autonomous, yeah, and it is smart car. So uh, these four characteristics of the car is almost inseparable from each other, almost.
Okay.
Uh, it is correct. The car can be done only electric, and
Mhm.
then uh, then you can add a connection on the top of it, and otherwise also you can think of your combustion engine car to be connected alone.
Mhm.
But what we are observing is that in each of these four spheres, it is going. The car is going at full speed, and it seems that all of them is going to take place, and all of them will be necessary. Elon Musk, uh, I listened him quite a bit during the spare time with about his success in Tesla Automotive. Um, as our global CEO also referred to him quite a little bit for this transformation. He mentioned once, just let me give an example to grasp the normal person on the street, the size of the transformation we are talking about here. The ICE engine, combustion engine car that you are driving today, in a matter of time of 10 to 20 years will be a horse. What a horse to you now or 50 years before. If they will not go extinct, they will be seenable on the street, but they will be serving like what the horse serves. Definitely not primary purpose for transformation, rather be a hobby vehicle. They will be. So IC will take over, and the smart connected electric cars will be taken over the ICs, and they will be sole available supply.
Okay, but I'll challenge you on something like that. Electric
Okay.
vehicles probably seem something like which are more synonymous at the moment. But there is
Mhm.
also a talk about clean fuel, which is based upon hydrogen fuel cell technology. and a lot of
Yeah.
companies are also investing in that, especially big automotive companies. They still do not want to invest, especially in infrastructure in countries like India, where there are no EV charging stations, or there are hardly any few charging stations that you will find in big cities. Electric vehicles may not be that popular. Probably a hybrid fuel cell technology based vehicles might be more popular. So how do you see that trend?
Mhm. So two things. One is about the hybrid. Hybrid we see really like a transition. I remember I was driving, or Volkswagen offered maybe the first hybrid, as far as I remember, right? Maybe 10 years ago. And it was a very expensive line. For example, in Touareg, the most expensive model in Volkswagen was offered a hybrid, and hybrid was among the Touareg lines was also the most expensive line because of the electrical engine. Now from there, when we look at the most market capitalization company, automotive company in the world is Tesla now. When we look at their model lineup, is entirely electric, entirely.
Yeah.
So not hybrid, not fuel cell, not hydrogen, only electric. This is what the value, the market's value. So we just think that hybrid is just a transition technology from is just from A to B in the journey. Hybrid happens to be there. In no means, I don't want to say it is a bad technology. No, I also would like to enjoy to drive a hybrid until I switch to a fully electric car. But what I want to say is that they are not eternal. They are not going to stay there very long.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
this is one thing. And
yeah, but
yes.
just to interrupt you there, I mean, if Tesla is going out all electric, couldn't it be a case of putting all eggs in one basket, something which they might review later?
We don't, for example, okay, I will answer this with a metaphor.
Okay.
Now European countries, most of them, and United States as well, switching to renewable energy, solar and hydropower, and then nowadays they also started to they achieved to make power from the waves, from the gravitational force, from many other things, but all renewable, zero impact on environment and zero carbon emission.
Yeah.
Do you think this transformation from coal and fossil fuels, let's say in general, because it includes a lot of gas as well, to renewable energy, to solar and hydro being two of the most used, do you think this is putting all the eggs in the same basket?
No, but there are options available. It's not just one technology that I'm. If I run a business, I am looking at different options, be it solar energy, wind energy, or wave energy. I have different options. But if I say, okay, electric engine is the way ahead, possibly that's not being bought by the global automotive companies as yet. I mean, like GM, Ford, they are still looking at hybrid models. Internal combustion engine models are still there. They are looking at hydrogen fuel technology as probably as competitive as electric vehicles as well.
Well, hydrogen, there is a little bit of adversity in hydrogen. Some people think that it will not come. Yeah, some people think so, and some people believe that it is the ultimate technology. So they also believe that electrical car is also a transition to hydro.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Over there. Thinking out of the box is really hard, because 20 years ago, what we are seeing now and talking that it is inevitable that's going to happen, we wouldn't even think about it. 10 years ago, it was going to take place in a future date. 10 years ago, when I was doing my internship after our Purdue degree together, I was doing my MBA traineeship with Ernst Young, and my graduation project was electrical vehicle introduction to China. 10 years later, now it is really picking up. It is going full speed, and we can think that next 10 years as well, the growth, not the sales, but the growth will only come from electrical engine. So not from the combustion engine. It will be there and it will be replaced, and maybe in the next 10 years it will go down, their sales, but the growth will entirely come from EV vehicles. So when the change momentum change is so accelerated, and the technologies can be overthrown so easily, and we are talking, and please don't get me wrong, we are talking here, a combustion engine is a 150 years old technology.
Yeah.
It is being used in the cars more than 130 years now.
Yeah.
Our oldest car brand in Volkswagen Group, Skoda, is more than 130 years old as a brand.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, who can know if in 20, 30 years hydrogen, as some people claim, will ultimately take over? Now, hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But I don't delete the possibility completely. On the other hand, I also think of the advantages of electrical car.
Yeah.
So zero impact on the environment. And nowadays already we are relatively at the beginning. We just jump into the electrical car transition, and car can be 80% charged within 10 to 15 minutes. The pace of development is so strong, and the electrical is such a thing. It can be embedded, right? It can be sold back to the grid back. You can purchase when you are sleeping. It will, as the grid will become smart when the electricity prices are low. And if all electrical batteries of the cars are connected with your home as well, home batteries and other batteries, planes as well, is in electrical planes, and hovercrafts and helicopters is in concept now, is in concept mode. It's also being thought that in near future they will be also live. So when we look at from this perspective, when they are all connected, our ultimate goal as, let's say, humans is we are always fighting in these wars, are always for the sharing of the power, and like the total power, and the power consumption will be so smooth between the vehicles, so there won't be such big problems. Electrical car comes also with this package, so it has many advantages.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, it's very difficult to forecast who would be the ultimate winner, but certainly electric vehicles are resonating more in certain parts of the world currently. So moving away from technology, how about digital impacting business models as to how the cars are sold, services, spare parts are sold? How has that changed in a decade or so in digital, due to digital?
Well, that part maybe wouldn't take over that much if pandemic didn't hit.
Okay.
So, right, COVID, from January 22 onwards in Hong Kong, we have a border with China mainland, so we are direct neighbors, not only a part of China, but also a neighbor of China directly on the land. So on the 22nd, 23rd of January, we felt it very strong on the very first days of the outbreak, as the world was maybe hearing from a very distant location. This resulted, as you know, because all over the world we went through this change now, our consumptions habit changed. So after this date, selling cars and selling parts, creating revenue for the car manufacturers in digital is changed.
Okay.
Much quicker than expected, but no surprise because nobody was also expecting. Still, so we enabled for digital selling. We have an online sales channels. I think Tesla also did it. You can visit Tesla stores, right? But you cannot order the car there. You can just have the feeling of it. You have to go back to home or use someone's tablet to order the car eventually on internet. So we have online sales channels. When our car customers couldn't visit our retailer shops, we enabled this online selling. So our sales consultants were with the phone, stepping into the car and showing the car and answering the questions, trying to create as much as possible interactive communication with the customer to show the car when they cannot come over. But of course, still the urge from the people is there. They still want to come to the shops, like the Tesla has did. They still want to touch the car. They still want to sit in. Before making such car purchase is a significant purchase decision for a customer. So they still want to have a sense of it. And parts people still rely on in the combustion engine. There are 40,000 plus parts in a single vehicle. 40,000 plus, right? So it's such a complicated vehicle that we are driving now. But with the electrical vehicle, it will drop as much as between 4 to 10,000 pieces, and much of them will be electronic. When the electronic will be gone in the electrical vehicles, you will need to maybe go to find an electronical consultant or electronical repair shop. Whereas for the rest of the car parts, you will be able to change yourself, order it online, and if it arrives, you will be able to change ourselves. In the car, with the ICE engine, with our current models, this doesn't happen. Customers can order the parts, but they still either go to our shop to still change it, or go to third-party shops, what we call garage, garages, and then in these garage shops, they make the parts to be changed.
So in terms of, if I have to put it in one sentence, what you are hinting at is that omni-channel selling is becoming more prominent when you talk about selling cars. So it's becoming a trend. So some people potentially look at it digitally online, and then they go and experience it and then order it maybe online or offline. So that's becoming more the norm. That's what you are hinting at.
Right. This is the case. I want to give an example here for the people who are not from China. My example will be very, how can I say, impressive, a change. But a more short global example first, everyone knows from United States. Do you remember that until 3 years ago, everybody was talking to switching into electronical photo machines from the manual ones? And DSLRs become so hot, and they were being purchased, and everyone was switching. Some people bought 2 of them, were comparing, and then most of the photo machine users switched completely. What happened is that automotive, the photo machine industry, photographers, producers, it peaked in 2018, their sales in the world. It climbed with the purchasing power is going up, and everybody wants to store their memories. It peaked according to their photograph machine producers website. There's a general website. It peaked around 120 million, and globally. And this was, I think, 10 years ago. In 2000s, the annual sales were around 30 million. So people started to buy these things, and suddenly the mobile phone transition took place. Mobile phones, smartphones are not new in our life. We are with Blackberries, we switched to them 10 years ago. Now it's 2020. In 2010, Blackberries were widely used, and they had the photo machines. But the moment came that for the normal person, the quality of the photo taken with the mobile phone started to be not anything different than a professional photo machine. So that took place in 2018, not so long ago. If you taken out the pandemic, it is like 12 months or 18 years. And now the global sales of the photo machine, the photograph machines, is around 15 to 20 million. So it collapsed. 90% of the volume has disappeared. It collapsed. People are not buying anymore. So what I want to say is that digital transformation is coming so quick and making so many industries so quick, so obsolete. Have to be very careful about it. So this is global example, and every one of you has experienced this. So this is why I wanted to give this example. Otherwise, if it is not reminded, it doesn't strike the people. One example from China market about the digital transformation is in China, home delivery, the food delivery is known, right? Maybe elsewhere in the world it is picking up as well. In China, or with the previous generations, they always grow up with this round, bowl-shaped noodles, which are dried, and you add hot water on the top of it, and you close it, and in 15 minutes it is ready. This is called instant noodle. Because infrastructure, China is a big country, infrastructure is not always available, not always there. People always need to eat food regularly, 3-4 times a day. So this business model, instant noodle, was the king of China in the food chain and was the most profitable business model. Instant noodle over the generations, and it was a must. When I moved to China 10 years ago, everyone was eating it still. Instant noodle almost go bankrupt recently. And the reason is that food delivery service is picking up, and people can able to order food not from computer, not from telephone, the dial-in telephone, but from their mobiles, and to guide it to any location they want, and they can track it, the delivery status, so transparently, and they can pay also online. This took over so quick. Instant noodle and many other traditional food producers, which are based on the previous model, which doesn't home deliver, they almost go bankrupt. So maybe in the future, instant noodle will be available, but not for the common society, not for the cities, maybe for very distant locations where storage is also not possible for the fresh food. Maybe, I don't know, very remote places on earth. So the digital transformation is coming, is here. It came, it is coming for the other industries, and for those of us who doesn't adapt. And I would say 99%, maybe 98%. It's hard to numerize, but almost all industries will be impacted. And for those ones who are impacted, as I give a few examples from the world or from China, if they don't adapt, survival is going to be a very, very slim probability.
I mean, you're right. Digital transformation is impacting almost every industry, and one has to adapt to survive, for sure. So, moving away from the automotive part of it, you have been into the area of finance for very long. How has digital impacted your area specifically in terms of how you work, or how do you plan, or how do you manage things in your job role? How has that impacted you?
Okay, so few things are impacted in my current position. I am in charge. So Hong Kong market is for the car is a small market. China is the biggest car market, and Hong Kong maybe in the world among the smallest car market. So in China, we can see with that size, we can see the rapid change. Whereas in Hong Kong, the size of the industry doesn't make always for the seller or for the importer to make the initial investment. So I believe that Hong Kong will be in the car industry in terms of working. I'm talking about will be impacted relatively slowly. Slower than the big markets, which are driving, which have to make the transition, otherwise they will not be the biggest. So now they are driving the train of the change. When we look at across the industries, we have to create a digital in order to survive in the digital transformation age. We have to do a couple of things in our companies. So we have to build up a digital marketplace. This is why I gave an example for selling a car digitally. Such examples are for the marketplace are Airbnb and Uber. So they did it good, and they become the marketplace for their certain group of product. Direct to customer engagement. So direct customer engagement, you have to not lose your customer, because gaining a customer becomes so hard and loyalty of the customer is dropping. This is also what the digital age is bringing out. And maybe your old customer used to use your product frequently, but now with the reviews available and the price comparison available, this loyalty is going out. So in order to increase the customer bind between you and your product and customer, direct customer engagement is necessary, and Tesla did it very well. Another thing is digital product is necessary. So at the end, I think the key is here during digital transformation is that we have to come up with a digital product. What is it? So when you think of a digital product, please think of an APK extension app. So this app is entirely produced in a digital environment, entirely works on a digital platform, and if you don't have it, it doesn't almost make sense to have the app. And most importantly, the common characteristics of digital products is their marginal cost. In other words, producing one more unit or selling one more unit. Marginal means that one more there doesn't have additional cost, so their marginal cost is zero.
Okay.
Any app seller, right? Any app seller doesn't incur any additional cost if they sell one more app. No, there is none. So when your marginal cost of selling one more unit is zero, you start to think differently. So with the digital products, we have to understand them, and with the digital transformation, we have to think of this perspective of producing something and selling it for zero. Of course, the app producers make money. So what is it? The revenue and the income transformation takes place after selling the product, and it takes place irregularly. This is in the human, how can I say, this is in the capital markets. This is not the first time this is taking place. This happened in the past before. For example, I am sure you remember the coffee producers which sell the coffee machine, very expensive coffee machines for a small amount of money, or sometimes if you buy so much coffee beans for free, whereas they sell the beans, coffee beans, whether it is in a small taps, in small cubes, or whether it is in bulks, they sell the coffee beans for that machine and they make the money out of it. So then it is irregular, unforecastable. This is, so to speak, a very good example from the conventional market, conventional product into a digital, how the digital money is performed. So we have to come up with a digital product or digital services. Tesla did come up with a digital product. It is not the car only digital, but they are enabling the different use of the car. For example, if you want to buy more horsepower, you can buy it. This horsepower was always enabled in the car, it was embedded in the car, but you can only enable it with paying more money. Or the digital services we have to create. For example, PayPal or YouTube. They are service providers. PayPal is solving out your payment problems, and YouTube is providing you information at any moment you want. One more example we can give is that insights, digital insights. So it is working more B2B, like the weather forecast, right? Weather forecast. So digitally B2B, we can build up these services, selling certain digital services from business to business. A good example of it is instant weather forecast, because people are now checking, they have instant access to the weather, and they are very interested. Weather forecast is not a thing that we used to hear at night when we are listening to news, night news anymore, or nothing before we checked in the morning before we leave home. It's not the case. It is, we have constant now reach to it due to the digital platforms. These insights are also available to sell. For those of us who want to take place in the digital transformation, because we will be all impacted, it is better if we steer it. We have to pay attention to which business model among the 5, 6 I listed we want to be inside and how we want to steer it.
Okay. So one last question, Ali. You talked about adaptation in the world, in the digital world, in terms of digital transformation
Yes.
impacting all of us. Did you have to upskill yourself as well to be ready and be available for the digital times as part of your career growth as well?
Good question. So the answer is yes, but I did it more like a continuous personal development perspective. So when I am sharpening my skills in the communication, in the other areas that I thought that I might need an over there an improvement, I also did it with the digitalization. But am I ready and 100% fit for the coming wave? No. So I don't think I'm in a state to stop learning about digitalization. One thing I always keep on the back of my mind that I want to spare time is learning how to code the software.
Okay.
I think it is going in that direction, and India, I believe, particularly, is one of the, let's say, most resources available country in coding.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there is a lot of lookout for coders as well. I mean, coding is becoming the norm. A lot of people are learning it as part of their upskilling effort too. So great perspectives, Ali. It was great to hear your views on different things around digitalization and the impact that you see in terms of both technology as well as business models. I'm sure some of it will be liked by our consumers. I'll be happy to send you any follow-up questions which come up, but it was a pleasure to have you today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity, and for any questions, I will be open.
Thank you. Thanks, Ali. Have a good weekend. Have a great Sunday. Thank you.
Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.